Well, you know, when Richard Pryor was at his height, you look back on that era, and pretty much everyone could say Richard Pryor was the best of that era.
Yeah, but Richard Pryor came up in an era where there wasn't a lot of people at all. You know what I mean? It was pretty much him and Bill Cosby. Yeah, so Richard Pryor came up in an era where there were less and less black comedians, and he pretty much pioneered the style of being open and vulnerable and naked on stage and bearing his whole soul and talking about his life and his drug habits and abuse with his wife, and you know, and there wasn't a lot of people doing that. You know, Red Fox came before him, but he had his own thing, and you know, so yeah, it was easier to point to Richard and say Richard is the best because there wasn't a lot of people out. But now it's so many people out, and I don't just go off of who's famous and who's not. I go off of who makes me laugh and who can craft a stand-up set that makes me say, oh, that shit is genius. And you know, the delivery is there, and it's just different styles, you know. But I wouldn't say that there's a best, in my opinion.
Well, you know, I mean, building off you know, Richard Pryor, you know, once Eddie Murphy got into his stride with Raw and Delirious, you could look back on that era and say Eddie Murphy was the best stand-up comedian during that era.
Eddie Murphy, I would say he made stand-up comedy rock star level. He made it possible for a Kevin Hart or a Katt Williams to be as big as they are now. And like I said, overall, Eddie Murphy to me is like the Jay-Z of the comedy game. Like for him to bust the box office open with those movies and then to be as versatile as he is, I think he's very slept on. Like the whole Nutty Professor thing, playing all those different characters, Norbit, Coming to America, right? No, Nutty Professor, Coming to America, Norbit. Eddie has played 1,000 fucking characters and hasn't gotten not one Oscar for that shit. Yet Robert Downey Jr. plays a black guy in fucking Tropic Thunder and they nominate him for an Oscar. Like that to me is a slap in the face, a slap in both sides of the face. But definitely I say Eddie Murphy is the overall, like his stand-up was rocking and he took it to another level. He raised the bar. His movies raised the bar to where everyone now is doing Eddie. They're doing Eddie. Even on stage, you'll see Kevin Hart, Martin Lawrence, all kinds of cats that wear leather paying homage to Eddie. So yeah, you might want to say that Eddie's the greatest living comedian if you're going to say one, because he's still alive.
Yeah, he just doesn't do stand-up anymore.
Yeah, he just doesn't do stand-up. But I guarantee you sit down with Eddie for 5 minutes, he's going to have you rolling on the fucking floor. That nigga's a genius.
Have you met Eddie?
Yeah, I met Eddie a few times, man. I'm cool with his family. He's a good dude. And, you know, again, he was one of the main guys that made me want to even do this entertainment thing. From when I saw 48 Hours and Coming to America and Beverly Hills Cop, like Eddie is he's the truth. Definitely one of my favorites, if not my favorite.